Hi, my name is Irene Latham, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience writing the poem You Cannot Measure Courage. I basically follow 5 steps when I write poems, so I'm going to share those with you. The first step is research. My number one job when writing this poem was to watch the movie Touching the Void. Now, I didn't just watch this movie as I watch any movie. I watched it as a writer watches a movie, and that meant I had my pencil and pad of paper with me, and I was jotting down notes throughout the whole time. Things like what I was seeing, what it looked like, the tools that the climbers were using, the language they were using, that sort of thing to add texture to my poem. The second step that I use is basically determining what my angle is going to be. Now, you want to go in sideways as a poet. You want to kind of sneak into a subject. You don't want to address it head on. That's where all the interesting stuff happens, is in the sides. So I decided that at first my angle was going to be a persona poem in the voice of the mountain. Well, that didn't quite work out, but then I moved on to plan B, which was writing the poem from the angle of courage. So I had my angle, and I wanted to decide what moment. Step number 3, choosing your moment. Now, the movie Touching the Void is full of moments that are poem-worthy, but the one that stood out most to me was that moment when Simon cuts the rope. So my job as a poet then is to explode that moment, to make this tiny thing huge. So then I moved on to step number 4, which is basically an exercise in empathy. While I have never climbed a mountain, I have to put myself in that place and imagine what that would be like for me. And that means drawing upon my own life experiences, which have involved courage, the lack of courage, difficult choices. So I use all of that stuff to kind of inform my poem. And then I move on to the 5th step, which is basically including a surprise in the poem. All good poetry has surprise, and it can be as simple as an unexpected image or some unusual comparison. For this poem, I decided to use a simile for the hooked fish. Not something you would necessarily expect to find in a poem about mountain climbing. So that's how I did it, and all you have to do is follow these 5 steps, and you too can write fabulous poems.